Hello, hello, it's Patty Joe, and we are continuing our covering and reviewing of this monster, day 12. Blech. We just got through the hardest witness. Now let's hear the rest of his defense. Because it just gets better, we know that. And happy birthday to me. Thank you for those of you who said it. Thank you, thank you. Let's see. Just making sure I've got this going. I do. I'm sorry, I'm such a ditz. Okay, here we go. She warned him. Look how arrogant. He just like...
Defense calls Catrice. I don't know how to say the last name.
Can you give me the spelling that you have?
Babiaszz.
This is his witness that's supposed to support his innocence.
Babiaszz. All right. Thank you. You are at the witness stand. Would you please raise your right hand? My clerk Teresa will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you, ma'am. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record, and then spell each.
Catrice Babiaszz, Katrice Babiaszz.
Thank you. My apologies for mispronouncing that earlier. Go ahead, your witness.
Good afternoon, Miss Babiaszz.
Correct.
I'm surprised I got it right. What do you do for a living?
I am a law enforcement dispatch supervisor.
And how long have you been doing that now?
I've been in law enforcement for 16 years.
The evening of November 21st, 2021, were you on duty that evening?
I was not.
What were you doing that evening?
I was attending the WAUKESHA Christmas parade with my family.
And do you recall what time you arrived there with your family that evening?
I arrived to the parade shortly after it started, so it was right after 4 p.m.
And do you recall where you were positioned at with your family when you arrived at the parade that evening?
Yes.
And where were you positioned at?
I was towards the beginning of the parade. I was on Main Street where it connects with White Rock Avenue.
Beginning.
Did anything catch your eye that evening when you were positioned watching the parade with your family?
The fact that he asks it like that all the time, does it bug you? Did your attention go to me? Was I the most important thing in that parade? Ugh, you are vile. Vile. Vile.
Yes.
What did you see?
I saw a red SUV coming from White Rock Avenue. The vehicle caught my attention because people started yelling, and the driver was honking the horn.
And do you recall, to the best of your knowledge, it's been a little bit, the driver of the vehicle you observed was honking his horn? Was it gesturing to people?
Yes.
And what do you see? What did you see the gesturing as?
I'm sorry, I don't
Speculation.
understand the question.
What was the gesturing?
What was the driver gesturing?
Yes. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So he was taking his hand and going like this, really rapidly, aggressively.
So for the record, the witness had her right hand up above, probably above her, I wouldn't say at a 90-degree angle, but somewhere maybe at a 45-degree angle with her hand waving back and forth multiple times in a rapid motion. Go ahead.
Like a damn fool. With this big overly with his oversized troll head and that dumb beard come. What an animal. My neighbor said it best. Primal. His behavior, his thought processes, he's such a narcissist. Ugh.
You yourself being in law enforcement and just based on what you were observing, the driver of the vehicle you observed was honking his horn and gesturing with this motion. Would you take that motion as trying to alert people to move out of the way?
Get out of my way. Get out of my way.
Grounds.
Speculation.
Sustain us to the form of the question.
It's speculation. What was I thinking? What was I was telling people it was clear. It was obvious. I love acting like Daryl. Oh, what a
Please
buffoon.
rephrase.
How did you yourself take that gesturing?
I took that gesturing as the driver was telling people to get out of his way.
Do you back up? Did the vehicle pass pretty close to where you were positioned?
Positioned?
Yes, the vehicle almost struck my daughter.
Do you recall seeing the driver?
I looked the driver right in the eyes.
And how did the driver look?
A crazed maniac.
The driver looked like through me.
What do you mean through you? Describe what you mean by through you.
I feel
She wants to say like a soulless maniac, narcissist, troll, goblin. But she doesn't have the words, and plus it's probably not the space. She's got way more class than I do.
that it is very hard to explain that look, but it was very frightening.
Do you recall what the driver was wearing?
The driver had a hoodie sweatshirt on, and something on his head. I wasn't sure if it was the hood of the sweater or maybe a beanie hat. It was winter. I'm not 100% sure.
Because they're in a car.
I did see hair, yes.
How would you describe the hair?
The hair on the head was in front, like dreads down here from what I could see underneath the hood or the hat. And then there was facial hair, beard and mustache.
Did the
Hold
vehicle...
on, I just need to make a record of, she was also using her hands, that's okay, to indicate at the neck, like under the chin, neck area, with her hands coming down a few inches to indicate what she was describing as hair being seen from the driver. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
When you observed the vehicle approaching, was the vehicle speeding?
When the vehicle was approaching from White Rock, the vehicle was not speeding at that time.
So not a fair question.
To the best of your knowledge, do you recall there being any barriers present where you were positioned at?
Position?
Yes.
She's traumatized. She's got trauma.
Do you recall if the vehicle you observed had any tinted windows?
I do not recall.
Were you able to make out a license plate number of the vehicle, being that it had passed so closely by you?
No, once the vehicle continued past my position, I was more concerned about my children that were with me.
I'm assuming at some point you spoke with law enforcement about what you saw that evening. Would that be fair to say?
Yes,
And do you recall what agency that was?
I do.
And what agency was that?
It's the FBI.
At what point were you not able to see the SUV once it passed you?
What?
I lost sight of the SUV once it went into a bunch of people.
Do you recall what date it was that you spoke with the FBI agents on? Was that the same evening or a few days after?
It was not the same evening of the parade, but it was that week. It was within the next few days.
The day you spoke with FBI agents, do you recall stating the driver was wearing a red top that appeared to be made out of a sweatshirt-like material?
I don't recall exactly what was said to the agent, but I do remember the sweatshirt, yes.
A red sweatshirt?
It's possible.
Okay, so let's put ourselves in her shoes because we have empathy. What she saw was a car almost hitting her child and maybe another child or children that were close by that she's responsible for, that she feels responsibility to. She sees the red SUV. She sees the driver. She sees the look, the dead-eyed, shark bait, aggressive, narcissistic abuse look in his eye because he's a goblin. And he's asking for nitpicky details that may have been a blur to her. And the only way I can describe this is while a trauma is happening, I was being traumatized one time, I remember the last defense I thought I had was my radio. I'm trying to get a hold of somebody to help me. And I can see it swinging from my lapel mic, which is hooked to my lapel. And I can see it swinging. And all around it, I saw a cloud of fuzziness, like everything else was a blur. So if you were to ask me if I saw a cigarette pack on the ground or a piece of trash next to where my foot was, or, anything, the color of my partner's sock, I don't know. I don't think I could have done that. It's called trauma. It's called there's a focus that happens, and it's weird. It's weird. This is his
Just
witness.
a little bit ago, you said that, well, when asked
trying to make her
the
into a
question
liar.
of did you recall hair for the driver, you stated and made the gesture that the hair was in front. Do you recall saying that?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall when speaking with FBI agents stating that the hair was pulled back?
The hair appeared to be like possibly in a ponytail, but it was so full that it was coming forward.
Do you recall, well, let me back up. Did you leave the parade at that point?
At what point?
After
that-
seeing the vehicle?
Yes.
It's torture.
Were you injured the evening of the incident?
Yes.
You were injured?
Yes, I was.
Any reason why that's not reported?
Probably because I didn't tell anyone else.
If you were injured, why not tell anyone?
Because I haven't wanted to talk about the traumatic experience that I went through for still reliving the weeks and days after the incident.
Oh, this is his witness.
It doesn't make any sense. You talked to
Doesn't make any
FBI
sense.
agents a few days, or you said you didn't. To be fair, you said you didn't know. You said it was that week, is what you said. The same week. You spoke with FBI agents, reported no injuries.
They didn't ask me about injuries.
Well, would it be fair to say that kind of information would come up when talking to law enforcement, seeing as how you yourself work in law enforcement? It just seems odd, don't you think?
I do not. I was not physically injured.
I like her. She's the only one who is equating an emotional mental trauma as an injury. It is physically an injury. And this is how one of the things that I learned when I was actually teaching, and we went back for some education on neurology and neurotrauma and things like that. people who were studied, people who were educated and lived through the Hurricane Katrina, which was massive and had massive like overflow of trauma and death and destruction, and they lost everything, many people. There was a neurologist, a neuroscientist who very educated, very accomplished, very, able, was unable after that event for some time to accomplish regular activities of daily living. And this is because the brain has been disturbed. Kind of like when I explained about concussions being a metabolic injury and not a physical injury that can be seen on, say, a CT scan. Not that I know all about this, I just know somewhat about it. Your brain has certain neurotransmitters, and to physically hit somebody and disturb those, like to hit your head slightly or to back and forth in a car accident, you can actually disturb those and get a concussion. This is probably very similar, where you have a lack of being able to accomplish the activities that you were able to accomplish before the trauma. Probably because your brain has been altered in some way. It's been injured. So I don't know all about that. I'm not sure anybody does. I'd love to know about it, but that's what she's equating. And this is his witness. Now he's going to treat her like a problem. Like she's the problem. She should be honest. Really? Like you were? Oh.
Oh.
No.
But you didn't report this at any time whatsoever.
That's the answer to the question.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Thank you.
Already answered.
So did you speak to anyone about this in law enforcement?
Objection made.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer. He clarified law enforcement. Did she speak to anyone about this in law enforcement? I interpreted this as the injury.
Right.
So go ahead.
I feel like, no, I did not.
Did you file any claims related to the incident?
No, I did not.
So today, your first time bringing up your alleged injury?
Alleged.
No, it is not.
At some point, you were subpoenaed by the district attorney's office to testify here to testify in this trial. Would that be fair to say?
Here's another one. he's asking her about the subpoena because, of course, that's all a conspiracy against him, right? So they subpoenaed her, and then he subpoenas her, and he doesn't understand that.
Yes, it is.
Such a fool.
Do you recall when you received that subpoena?
From the district attorney's office, it was in July.
And do you recall whom you spoke with about the information regarding the subpoena?
I contacted the victim witness advocate, Carrie Peterson.
You contacted the Miss Peterson after receiving the subpoena.
Correct. The instructions told me to.
Okay. You ever spoke with anyone directly at the district attorney's office?
No. Correction. Yes, when I walked in today, I met there and let them know I was here, and then they walked me into a room, and I waited until I was called by you.
So before today, you had no interactions with anyone related to the district attorney's office besides the, I think you said, victim advocate?
So the victim advocates who have been in connection with and letting me know when to come and all of that.
Of the three district attorneys seated to my left at this table, had you had any interactions of any kind with any of those three district attorneys?
I have not.
And I believe, just for the record, when you asked that, Attorney Basie was just pointing to herself and the two people next to her, so it's clear, because since there's two tables.
What would be the reason for that?
Since there's two tables of individuals, I think she wanted to make the witness aware. And I just wanted to point it out for the record since it happened.
Working in law enforcement for 16 years, I'm sure this isn't your first time being involved in a trial. Would that be fair to say?
No, not necessarily.
I have not been in a trial for law enforcement. No, I have not.
You've never witnessed a trial, sat at a trial, been in a trial?
I have not.
Have you ever testified in any way before today?
Objection, Owens.
Grounds?
Overruled, you may answer.
I have testified before, yes.
So it would be fair to say that you would have knowledge of where an alleged defendant and the district attorney would sit in a courtroom, correct?
I know where they're sitting, yes.
Okay, Perry. What an idiot. What are you getting at?
I want to back up a little bit to the observation of the vehicle the evening of November 21st, 2021. While you observed the vehicle approaching your position, did you see it strike anyone?
I did not see the vehicle strike anyone, no.
From your opinion, observing the vehicle approaching your position, did it appear that the vehicle attempted to strike anyone?
Yes,
And why would you come to that conclusion?
because I saw an officer have to jump out of the way in order
Yeah,
for
she was in the
was
front of the
approaching.
parade.
when it
The
was
question
a.
was when it was approaching.
I'm
that.
confused.
Hold on, everyone. The question was asked, this witness is going to be allowed to answer the question fully without interruption. Go ahead and answer the question.
Thank you. I misunderstood his question, I guess.
Answer the question that as you understood it.
Yep. So I saw that an officer have to get out of the way, and he was attempting to stop Mr. Brooks from driving through the parade, and he was at the last minute jumped out of the way from the vehicle. Otherwise, he would have been struck.
You just used the name Mr. Brooks for the first time that you've been testifying. Would that be fair to say?
I don't understand your question.
You just used the name Mr. Brooks for the first time since you've been testifying. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say, yes.
Why haven't you used that name before? You've been up there for quite some time.
She is your witness. She's supposed to be helping to prove that you are innocent, or that you're at least not guilty, or that there's some mitigation. Why are you... No. All right, answer, sweetheart.
I didn't need to.
Good answer.
So what changed for the last question that you needed to?
It was organic
I
to
don't
the
understand
conversation.
your question.
You just stated that you didn't mention the name before because you didn't need to. So what about the last question that you answered made you feel like you needed to use the name for that question and no question before that?
I don't know.
Hold on a second. I got something just occurred to me.